The news is distant. Election updates are out of my mind. Hello, everyone who is watching now or in the future. Hopefully, everybody's day is doing. Why am I?
Hello.
Hello, that was you. I thought that was me crackling.
No, I just I popped in.
But hopefully everybody's day is going well. Hopefully you aren't out in Atlanta where people are waiting like 4 hours to vote and then finding out, oops, they're out of ballots.
Of course. Or I believe Texas, where their votes are getting changed to Ted Cruz.
Yeah, hopefully people in Texas are not clicking the button that says vote all Democrat right now. Because that's when it's happening. They get all Democrats except for Ted Cruz. Go figure.
No, but I did do something dumb today at the ballot.
That's not a good time to do things dumb.
I broke a machine temporarily.
Oh, according to sources, all that takes is voting for a Democrat.
No. It wasn't that they're Scantron, so that can't happen. What happened was, it's been raining hell today, and I'm about like 12-minute walk from my polling place. So intelligent me walked to the polling place in pouring rain.
Did you even have an umbrella?
I had a jacket. I don't want an umbrella. I kind of lose those at a very scary rate, so I just don't bother with them. So, needless to say, I'm soaked to the skin. Especially my jacket, which I didn't realize how wet it was because it's not like a leather jacket. It's like a... I'm not sure how to describe the material, but it doesn't feel heavy when it's wet. So I didn't know my jacket was that wet, even though that should have been a logical conclusion. So my first ballad, I got so soaked, it jammed the Scantron machine.
Good job.
No kidding. I swear to God,
Good job.
Election Day is cursed for me.
Just out of curiosity, do you live in a heavily zone that's heavy opposite you politically?
I don't think so.
No. Now see, that might be a valid tactic if you live in the wrong color area.
Well, the thing is, it wouldn't have worked because it was just for my area, as opposed to... Because, like, the school had, like, multiple sectors of voting.
Oh yeah, they always do. You have a district and a polling place in the district.
Even better, before that, the guy misheard what house I live in and took me to the wrong district. They couldn't find my name, and I'm free like, oh god, what happened? No, I was just at the wrong table. It was one of those days for me voting, which always happens. Hell, the first year I voted was the year the Bush-Gore debacle happened. Right on my birthday, when I turned 18. I was living my first day as an 18-year-old. The family joke is I ruined the election, because, of course, me being the kind of oddball of the family and wearing it as a badge of pride, that shit happens.
Yeah, but at least you weren't in Florida.
I think if I was in Florida, I would have screamed.
At least you couldn't be solely accused of screwing that up if you were in Florida.
No. It's not that it's unfun, it was just comical.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. But there were a lot of people that...
Voting is generally not a fun process to begin with.
I am the advocacy of, can they, like, perfect online voting for these things because the turnout would increase 20-fold.
Yeah, but you already have people chomping at the bit about voter fraud. Can you imagine what would happen if you actually tried that online?
That's why I'm not saying eliminate in-person voting, but oh my god, yeah, that's the one thing. That's why I understand it's not a thing yet, but I am an advocate for it. We just have to figure out how to prevent it. Because
I'm an advocate for mandatory voting myself.
I'm not.
I am.
And
I'm an advocate for mandatory voting.
I'm not, because honestly, I feel like the high pressure, you must vote, actually makes people want to vote less. Out of
it
sheer
might make them want to vote, but you don't get much lower voter turnout than you do in the U.S. And we're not anywhere near mandatory.
No, and
in fact, we've got so many things set up to try to get people to not be able to vote.
That's stupid.
That we are almost the opposite of mandatory voting.
That's a recent thing, though, from what I remember as a kid.
No, it's more public now, but things like the gerrymandering and the voter suppression, no, those have been in place since at least the 40s.
I figured it slowed down for a little while because
No. It's never slowed down. It's just a lot more public now that we live in the age of social media and everything's caught on video. So people would go to, news agencies or something like that. It's like, I've been, my vote's being suppressed here. They're trying to take me off the rolls. And they're like, well, do you have any proof? And they go, no, I just walked down there and suddenly I'm unregistered. It's like, well, do you have any proof you were registered before? It's like, well, I got my card. It's like, well, you sure, and all that. But now they actually get the conversations on video and we have proof of this stuff now.
Which makes me wonder, why do they keep trying it now then? It's obviously easier.
Because it still works.
Well, it's going to work a lot less because people catch it.
It's going to work a lot less because people catch you would think that, but the thing is, people defend it.
They're idiots.
I know. That doesn't mean people are...
I think that's part of the reason why they maybe don't want the online voting, because you can't prevent somebody from logging in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they tried with the healthcare website.
That's when you get some friendly hackers who do the illegal letting you in, just to piss them off more.
Well, unfortunately, the hackers right now are not so friendly to, encouraging, voter turnout and such.
Yeah, the thing is, I notice it's mostly the Republicans doing this because they know most people don't like what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, look at the last presidential election, look at the popular vote, and then look at how it actually turned out.
I am all for getting rid of the Electoral College, because that is an outdated bullshit
I'm sorry
system.
that a person I'm sorry, I don't think just because a person lives in Wyoming, I don't think their vote should be 3 times worth what it is in California.
No, I think every vote should be... That I agree with. In fact, I figured that out in freaking elementary school when I first learned of the Electoral College, because my first question was, why don't they just count all the votes? They can do that nowadays.
Okay, Amonimus, how much do you know about our Electoral College? I mean, I don't know how knowledgeable you are about the U.S.
That's right, Amonimus is Russian.
Yes. I don't know how familiar you are with it.
I will point out this election does not work that way.
Yeah, this election is just pure, you count the votes and the higher number wins. But okay. Here's the deal. There was good intention behind this whole setup in the first place, but essentially the U.S. has 3 branches of government. we have the presidency, we have Congress, and we have the Supreme Court. 3 major branches.
Well,
One of those branches is, Congress is split into 2 main things. One is called the House of Representatives, and one is called the Senate. We did this because way back when we formed it, we realized that some states, if we did everything in terms of just sheer population, there were some states that were going to get completely screwed over because certain states had a lot more people in them.
May I add something else to this?
Sure.
Another reason the Electoral College was formed is because a lot of the people in charge at the time felt the regular population was too stupid to vote.
This is true.
So, while there were good intentions, there was enough crappy intentions that it really shouldn't have ever existed, if you ask me.
Yeah. But anyway, so they formed the House of Representatives, which gives every state one representative per a certain amount of population within that state. So that right now has like 435 members in it, and it's fairly evenly distributed to where I think states like Wyoming and Rhode Island only have 1 or 2 representatives in the House of Representatives. A state like California has over 50 because population. But then, because they realize that states like, the smaller states and less populated states like Alaska and Wyoming and all this, Alaska wasn't there at the time, and neither was Wyoming, but I'm, projecting forward a little bit with the names. The thing is, they realized that they were going to get screwed over on every legislative vote. So they created the Senate, which has 2 representatives per state, no matter how many members it have. Every state has 2 members in the Senate to make it 100 members total. Now, when we do presidential elections, no other election gets this, just the presidential elections, we tally up the votes by state, and whichever candidate wins that state, an individual state, they get all of the representatives from the House of Representatives and all the senators from the Senate. You get 1 vote per member. So, California, for example. Last I checked, didn't it have 56 representatives?
I don't know. I don't even know how many.
I think it's somewhere, we'll say 56 representatives just for the big end. And Wyoming has 1. So, let's say that someone wins California. They tally up all the votes in all the districts in California. That person gets 58 votes towards winning the presidency. They get the 56 votes from however many, the members of the House of Representatives, and 2 more from the Senate. Whereas if they win Wyoming, they get 1 vote from the House of Representatives because you have to have some there, and 2 from the Senate. Now, you think, so how does this mean a vote in Wyoming is worth 3 times as much in California? Because California has several million times the population of Wyoming, basically. I forgot the number, but it basically turned out that 1 vote, God, I cannot remember the exact numbers right now, but it's essentially a vote in you win California. Each one of those is worth about, I think it was 100,000 or so people something, and then Wyoming, they looked it up and it was like worth 300,000 people, or something. It's some weird number like that, because the 2 senators aren't reliant on population. Yeah. So it's long, it's convoluted, and in short, it don't work so well. It's how we ended up with W in 2000. Because once again, that was another vote where the person who won the presidency did not win the popular vote. And it's how we ended up with Trump.
Which is why I tell, this is why, I tell people, is people really didn't want him.
No, he lost by, was it 4,000 or 4 million?
Yeah, at least. And he claims he was the one who won it, too. This is how egotistical this guy is.
Yep.
At least W didn't do that.
Yeah. No, he just had his brother in charge of making sure all the votes were recounted.
I'm not even sure it was a conspiracy. I think his brother was just being a jerk.
Well, yeah, that is a thing. But anyway.
I will say this. I have more respect for W than I do for our current president, for a very simple fact. W has a goddamn sense of humor!
I don't.
No, you do.
I don't have more... No, I don't have more respect
Oh, I thought you said
W.
you didn't have a sense of humor.
No, I don't have more respect for W. W managed to go to war for oil and bring about the advent of freedom fries.
I said more respect. I didn't say a lot.
I don't have any respect. W gets no respect from me.
Does that mean Trump gets negative respect from you?
Neither of them get respect from me. You can't really go negative respect.
Donald Trump owes you a foot kissing. That's how you do negative respect. No, it's a PR thing, because, again, if you're president, you need to have a sense of humor. And Trump has none.
Yeah, if you're president, you need thick skin to be president. Trump has the thinnest skin of anybody I've ever seen in recorded freaking history.
No kidding. And he's always been like that.
Yeah. I mean, how long has he been sending photos to that one reporter who commented that he had small hands? And he keeps literally sending 8x10 glossies of his hands and sending them to this guy with the hands circled in gold Sharpie.
Okay, there's petty, and then there's dude. Get the fuck over it.
And he does this because, see, my hands aren't so small. Which is why everybody just kept going, look at Mr. Baby Hands. That's why they still do it.
Here's the thing. Trump's always been like that.
Yeah, I know.
I had to deal with the fact that he's a fellow New Yorker, technically.
Remember the whole Central Park 5 thing?
Thankfully, I don't. Because I might have been too young, maybe?
Oh, yeah. That was 80s. Basically, he kept campaigning for 5 black people to get thrown in jail over a crime that the DNA evidence showed they did not commit.
Oh, so, okay, we can add racist to his list of he's an idiot.
Oh, yeah. You can totally add racist to every single thing you want to about him.
Actually, no, I can't, because he's beyond that. It's if you're not Donald Trump, he actually hates you.
But he hates you by default, regardless. But he will actually go out of his way to try to wreck your life if you are not a rich white male.
Yeah, because he has use for rich white males.
Yep. He tries to bilk them out of money.
Which is why most rich white males hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Well, most
even...
rich white males that knew him in New York hate him because he's so
bad at what he does.
unscrupulous about it. It's not the fact that he's, cheats people. I mean, that's something they don't really care too much about. But, it is just the fact that he is so completely lacking in anything that could constitute class.
And self-awareness.
And self-awareness, yes. But no, he is the least classy person I've ever seen that actually has enough money to go buy a tailored suit.
To be honest, he's just the least classy person I've ever seen, period.
I still have an uncle that I would classify below him.
Well, I've never met your uncle, so I can't
I
really...
Yeah, but I still know people that I would classify as less classy than Donald Trump. But it is a tight race to that particular bottom.
This is why I try to be as friendly and nice to people as possible. You look classier when you do that. The thing is, yeah, like, I hate that man so.
And the reason, I mean, I can grouse about Trump all night. Trump there is no end to the list of things I loathe about Donald Trump. There's literally no end to that list.
That's because he keeps making it bigger. Let's be realistic.
I mean, even if he stopped making it bigger right now, I could still come up with a pretty close to limitless list.
So when he dies.
Then he's going to put so much of that fake bronzer back in the earth.
Why does he bother with that?
Because he likes the raccoon look?
You know, it would stop like half the jokes about him if he just stopped using the bronzer.
No, and
I said, don't give me that half, but it would stop all the orange carrot jokes.
yeah, but then I wouldn't be able to call him the Fanta Führer.
I don't like the soda Fanta, but I can't insult it by associating it with Trump.
He's the exact same hue as the orange soda.
Yeah, but other orange sodas are really tasty, so I kind of feel bad doing that.
But it's still Fanta.
My two big problems with him are he is an anti-vaxxer.
Yes,
Never be an anti-vaxxer around me, Sarat. You will die. Like,
believe me, I am very much on your side there. I'm very much on your side when it comes to the... I don't know how else to phrase it, but the stupidity and the gullibleness of the anti-vaxxer community.
My friends could report to you that I get into basically a murderous rage if you say you're an anti-vaxxer. They've had to rescue people from me murdering them so I don't go to jail. I take personal offense to anti-vaxxers.
Oh, so do I.
Well, given that I actually have autism, so for me it's more of a, so you'd think I'd be better off dead kind of feeling.
Yeah, my daughter is autistic. Granted, not the same personal stake in the game that you have. But still.
No, but you're still a parent of somebody with autism, and they're basically telling you that your child is better off dead than autistic.
Yep.
Which I'd say is about equal stake. I didn't know what. I know you mentioned she had a neurological social disorder, but I wasn't sure if it was autism or something else.
It's autism. Non-classified autism, because they don't know what to call it. But it's the one that basically prevents her speech center from registering things at the same time she hears it. So she can't really verbally communicate easily.
So she's semi-non-verbal?
Oh, she's not non-verbal, but it's just...
Oh.
It's like the synapses that control the speech and hearing center of her brain. Not just the hearing, but just the speech. Hearing and
I can
speech. It's like the synapses fire a millisecond slower than they need to.
Yeah, I took longer to learn how to talk, and now you can't shut me up.
Yeah. But she is she's perfectly good with using nonverbal communication.
I was diagnosed in the 80s, so I don't even know what kind of autism I have, because this was before there were different types.
Oh, back when they were still trying to use a very specific word to describe it.
Asperger's?
No.
Because that's...
Word that begins with an R.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
No, this was a little after that, I think, because I actually have an official diagnosis of autism from when I was 2. Either that or the doctor was just really progressive. Either way. Not that my mom would have let them use the R word on me. She probably would have murdered some people.
Oh, yeah, I did put somebody in a chokehold at one point in time about it.
I think the reason my mom didn't do that is because her wit was more dangerous. Also, I wish YouTube existed back then, because that would have been an awesome video.
What, me putting somebody in a chokehold?
Yes.
No, that's not quite as awesome as you think.
Aw. Dad would have done that, I think.
See, I did it for my daughter. My dad did it for me for other things.
I think my grandma once threatened a priest with a shotgun because she thought he was going to molest one of her sons.
That's a pretty good reason to pull out the shotgun, truth be told.
My grandmother was a little tiny Jewish woman.
Your point? A shotgun is kind of an equalizer.
So just the image of my little quiet Jewish grandmother with a completely Jewish name, and my big grandfather had to be the one.
I'm just trying to picture that. Oy vey, make my day. You know?
I'm surprised Dad didn't make that joke when he told me the story.
I mean, that sounds kind of awesome, though.
Both sides of my family, you do not fuck with any member of it unless you want to die.
Yeah, well, you know.
My police officer brother-in-law has been making jokes about making my ex disappear just for leaving me.
Yeah. Well, let's see. When I was... Yeah, it was at the end of my freshman year of high school. We were... Because, you know, it was at the end of the year, football season was long over, and I was still kind of in training for football. Because you're always training for sports and such. You know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So I was doing other sports, and in this case it was flag football. I basically got my knee caved in because somebody got shoved into the side of it while I was taking a step. So pretty much just slaughtered my knee.
Ow! That does not sound fun.
Tendons decided to pop and stretch out to the point they couldn't snap back. That type of thing. So I went to the doctor and my knee was completely swollen. I mean, it was to the point that if it had immobilized itself completely through the swelling, which is what swelling is there to do. Don't get me wrong, I understand that swelling is there to immobilize a joint. It's your body's self-defense against further injuring the joint by locking it in place. Fair enough. So we go to the doctor, and an easy way to see if there's any severe damage is you drain little liquid away from the swelling, and you actually see if there's blood in it. So, it's a pretty standard diagnosis that way. If you pull some liquid out of the knee and there's blood in it, yeah, you got a tear in there that's going to have to be surgically fixed. Well, I don't know if you've ever had your skin stretched so tight it's painful from swelling before. I don't know if you've ever,
Thankfully, no.
undergone that. But you can imagine that it is the effect of having all that excess fluid in there, pushing your skin to the near breaking point.
We just kind of wish it would break just to alleviate the pain.
Yeah, you kind of wish that. So the doctor goes, okay, we're gonna try to drain your knee here. And what does the doctor do? Plunges the needle in and injects anesthetic into it. I bellowed, with my dad sitting right there, and my dad was not a small person by any means. My dad reached over, grabbed the doctor by his throat, and said, "When he stops hurting, you will."
Oh dear.
The doctor almost threatened to bring him up on assault, and he said, "Fine, I'm going to bring you up on malpractice right away." They settled out of court,
I thankfully never had to do anything like that. I've been very lucky.
But no, after I actually had my daughter diagnosed with autism, I was working to get her proper, get her education set up basically throughout school.
Their IEP, yeah.
All that stuff. And the oh so lovely person that I was talking to at the school,
I sense sarcasm in that.
decided, instead of actually saying autistic, he decided he really wanted to call her mentally retarded.
Except that's not what autism is. Not even like an offensive thing. That is not what autism is. That's completely wrong.
It is wrong. It is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And, to say it's offensive is a severe understatement. It's just kind of one of those things. But yeah, he and the thing is, he wasn't doing it just out of sheer ignorance. He started doing it and heavily started inflecting the words.
Oh, he wasn't just being... He was being...
While staring me in the face when he was saying it. And meanwhile, my daughter is just sitting there, nearly in tears from the way she's being treated.
Well, understandably so. I'm surprised you didn't just haul off and clock them.
Well, no, did not clock. I drop kicked.
Nice!
Although it was, it wasn't a very big room, so I couldn't get the full running start.
Oh.
But I was, nimble enough at this point in time that I could actually just stand up, put my hands against the chair, and just spring and land both feet in his chest, sit on him, squirm around, and then put him in a chokehold. And I told him I wanted an apology for my daughter for every time he'd said those words.
And now the internet is doing this.
Yeah, I was a little bit livid. Just a tiny bit.
Just a little miffed, just a little, nothing serious.
And the thing is, he said, I'm going to have you brought up on assault charges, and I go, let me earn them.
Oh, God. Oh, you want to bring me up on assault charges? Okay, let me make sure you're in traction first.
Basically, that was kind of my meaning, that if I was going to be brought up on assault charges for that, I was going to have some severe injuries. And I mean, you can tell me that probably didn't help things at all, and I'll probably agree with you. Yeah, that probably didn't improve the guy's attitude or anything, but I bet he was real careful about trying to pull that smarmy-ass routine on the next kid that came through with autism.
Yeah, because would I recommend ever doing that? No, not even if that is like a bad plan all around. But he was being like open, like not even like overtly, like, oh, they're helping.
He was being openly hostile.
Yeah, so you like maybe at least it improved his manner a little bit, so maybe it helped a little in this case.
Honestly, I didn't care.
I'm guessing you got
it.
And probably a new counselor, let's be realistic here.
Oh, this wasn't even the counselor.
Well, you know what I mean.
This was a clerk, basically. Because the counselor wasn't there that day.
Ah, did you... Hopefully he got fired, actually, because... No, I kind of have an interesting story, only it ended up kind of backfiring on us. Keep in mind, I was a child of the 80s and 90s. So I was in high school in the 90s. Graduated 2000. My first year of high school, my mom was trying to get me into one high school, and they want me to go to another high school. It's equidistant. There was no reason for me to have to go to one or the other. But before that, there was a meeting because I'm going to call him CR because those were his initials. The head of the school district, the superintendent, was, how do I put this politely, kind of an idiot. See, okay. He was African American. This is actually important to the story, shockingly. And he was benign at first. But what happened was one day he had this big town hall-esque meeting, and my mother went because she gave a crap about what happened in her school district. So, my mother goes and he proposes a school separate for people with autism. I am just starting to be integrated into other classes with non-autistic kids, neurotypical kids. And I had been that way since 5th, 6th grade. In fact, I was in no special education classes in middle school or high school, but high school's kind of weird. So, this man proposes this school. Now, my mother and other people go, isn't that segregation? Again,
Yes, yes, it is.
This is a black man. Who says this? I think segregation is a good idea. Just think about that.
Yeah,
The entire room apparently went silent.
I can believe it.
And it was my mother who initially asked the question. So guess who he blamed for it?
Yeah.
And guess who got the brunt of it?
Yeah, that's how that works.
He literally was taking this out on an at the time 14-year-old, like 12 to 14-year-old autistic girl who had no idea what was going on and was happily going through middle school. Yay! La 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 la. I ended up in private school my second year of high school because of him.
Mm.
Yeah, that was life.
Not good life, but life.
Well, I didn't blame my mom for it because, you know, it really wasn't her fault. The dude was being a
that's
petty.
not her fault that happened. That's an idiot's fault.
I don't know what happened to him after that. I have a feeling he might be. I know he's no longer the head of the school district because he'd be long retired by now if any. Yeah, it's like, why are you taking this out on me? I've done nothing. I just exist. Though part of the problem was I was a bit more visible than most kids because this was this was the 90s. Autism wasn't that well known, and I was one of the first autistic kids to be getting actual help. Like an aid, inclusion, a laptop. Laptop may be really popular for a year. So I was pretty visible, which I think is one of the reasons why I was so easy for him to kind of target.
Could be.
My joke is I was the guinea pig. At the time, I hated it.
You might have actually been the guinea pig.
I was the guinea pig. There was like no other autistic kid going through half the stuff I was going through. In fact, my mom had started the first autism support group on the island with 2 other mothers. I'm not even kidding. Mom was a mama bear. She was a mama bear. Although there were days I hated being the guinea pig because, come on.
It's not fun being the example.
No, it's not. Because example means target in some languages.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why when I have kids, if they end up being an example or something, I will find a way to give them an out if they want it. Or if it becomes too much of, like, an actual drain on them, because I'm quite happy not being an example now.
I can believe it.
Although I didn't get paid very well for public speaking. Yeah, I actually did public speaking for a while. Yeah. Also, tip to anyone working in public services, don't be a jerk. Please? We don't need jerks. Unless you like chokeholds.
I mean, if you want to be the person that volunteers to get the chokeholds applied to you.
We have many questions. As we're playing this cute little game.
It's like, I'm not one to kink shame. If that's what does it for you.
That's great, but
probably should keep it out of public, but hey.
Hey, if you can get paid for it, don't worry. Just keep the more personal part of that out of public. The chokehold part. I'm having fun with the glider again.
I'm just running the shop right now and thinking, it might be time to abandon the sale table for a bit and restock some of the tables. But now we still got some stuff to sell. I mean, it's almost time for the shop to close anyway.
I have a cute little life vest on now.
I think I just sold 4 of those.
How did you get 4 life vests?
I don't know. I think they were a quest reward that we got to repeat.
Oops. I'm gonna go right on a hippo. Hang on. I rule the hippos. I did go out and vote. I hopefully took power away from the orange carrot.
And here's the thing about the elections today. There are a lot of people who think, okay, well, if we vote in the other side, things automatically get fixed, or some nonsense like that. No. Today is about stopping the bleeding so we can actually sew the wound shut.
Basically,
for lack of a better way to put it, that's pretty much what we're doing.
We're locking it down.
In this massive game of tug-of-war, we are basically, putting in an anchor. We're driving in a piton to hold the rope so we stop sliding the wrong direction. That is what this election is. That's all this election is.
What it is what we want is to lock the government down. A friend of mine, interestingly a conservative, told me that the best form of government is a government that can't do anything.
That's
not
libertarian talk right there.
I don't think he was a libertarian, actually. My ex was, but I kind of reined in that libertarianism quite a bit.
With the shovel?
No, I pretty much told him flat out why some of his views were wrong. Because I'm not a stupid person, despite what he might have probably thought. I don't know. But here's the thing. 99% of the time, that's not actually true. You kind of want the government to be able to do something, because otherwise nothing gets done. But in this case, he's right. We need it locked down. Because if it can't do anything, it can't do any more damage.
We need it locked down until we can actually stop the bleeding. Okay? That's it. We've got to stop the bleeding so we can sew up the wound and actually begin the process of healing.
Again.
I have 11,000 money.
And here's a funny...
Farmer or a larger coop.
What I think is funny is that if we lock it down so that nothing can happen, this may actually, this will actually, like, cause a lot of problems for the Fantaführer.
Yes, it will.
Including a hit on his reputation. Remember, he was the one who was like, I can get stuff done.
He was also, I'm not going to be golfing every weekend. I'm going to be busy. Yeah, how
I think
long that
Obama took... What is it with Republican leaders and taking more vacations than Democratic leaders?
Because they know they can just accuse the Democratic leaders of taking more vacation and their base will believe it. And they don't care what the other side says. Because the other side is just out to slander them, you see.
I mean, I know we can't have Obama back because he served his 2 terms. More than enough.
We could have an Obama back.
Michelle?
Yes.
Is she even interested in running is the question.
No, she hates D.C.
She
She absolutely, positively hates Washington, D.C. with every fiber of her being, and she would never run.
And I will be back. I'm getting a phone call. Freaking really?
Did you get a call from somebody running for office?
No.
Oh, okay.
That would have been funny. I already voted. Actually, I have gotten no campaign calls.
I get texts.
I've gotten no
have
texts.
I gotten texts.
Gotten no texts, no calls. I got like one person at my door saying, "Oh, can I count?" Like, both is like, "Oh, I don't know him. What is his standards?" Like, "Oh, going like, oh, anything that's not Trump." Yes. Okay, yeah, I'm voting for him. Yeah, so we're not getting another Obama because Michelle's like, "No, I despise this place."
I can dream because that would tick off so many conservatives. Can you imagine what the conservatives would act like if we actually got Michelle Obama in office? Can you imagine the outrage? Of course, I mean, I really wouldn't want to put Michelle Obama through that.
No, the joke is that you age like really fast when you become president.
You've
Like,
seen how much gray hair Obama has.
Yeah.
And he's not that old.
No, he's actually close to your age, I think.
No, I'm not that old. He's in his 50s.
Wait, he's... No! He can't be in his fucking 50s! He doesn't look that old! Maybe 50 right now, pushing it, but he didn't look that old. Damn, dude's got the fountain of youth. That's the scandal they should have been looking into. He has the fountain of freaking youth in his basement somewhere. And he's hogging it!
Well, you know. Yeah, he's 57.
I refuse to believe that.
showed you his birth certificate, man.
No, I believe he was born in the United States, but I'm starting to think that date was...
His birth certificate showed